Hey, kids, it's time for another exciting episode of KWJUDAS.
That you were so bothered by everyday things. I had no idea that you were so haunted by everyday things. People talking, the babies squawking, the telephone rings. I had no idea that you were so bothered by everyday things. I had no idea that you knew anything about everyday things. Though you're blessed, you're so depressed about everyday things. Oh, then snoring, a second warning, a wedding bell rings. I had no idea that you were so bothered by everyday things. Everyday things, normal the normal. It's not alright, it's on your plate. Everyday things, get nothing to think of except the man up above you who's blasting his disco. Nothing was said but everyday things. Like you're not caring and I'm not sharing. It's everyday things. There's no violence, there's only silence. I'm not answering. I had no idea that you were so shattered. No idea that you were so battered. No idea or just how much it mattered. Those everyday things. Everyday things.
All right. We have Vic Ruggiero on the show here, the man from The Slackers. And goddamn it, as I was saying, I cannot express how excited I am to have this man on the show.
Well,
thank you
for
doing this with us.
You're too kind. You're too kind.
So you just randomly popped into Utah last night. You just had that show booked that night. That was it, right?
Yeah, it was. I changed my route. I was on a tour with Lauren Napier. We do this thing called The Witch and the Burro together.
What's that all about?
That's I always like to keep myself fresh, so I do when interesting things come my way, I say, yes, let's do it. And Lauren is somebody I met a few years ago. We decided that we like playing together. And so it's been cool. We do kind of country western male and female duets, and we kind of take an interesting take on it sometimes, get a little surreal, so it's cool. It's a lot of fun. And we've been having some success. She's been dragging me into some parts of the music world that I wasn't in, like the like kind of the country scene.
Yeah, you're doing some country western. That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. And I've always loved country music. I've been a fan. I think the first time I heard George Jones, I was driving for Joan Osborne in the 90s in a van, and they started playing George Jones, and I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
That's when I really realized I was a country fan. I was like, this stuff is great,
I had to join a country band to start appreciating country. Because at first you're just kind of exposed to like the pop country that everybody kind of is used to on the radio, and then you join a country band. I played the upright bass, and you get exposed to some good country music. Everybody we played with was just phenomenal. It's not at all what you were expecting.
Yeah, early on in the Slackers' life, I spent the night sharing a house with a bluegrass band. And as everybody else went to sleep, me and the bluegrass band stayed up playing all night. And I ended up playing guitar, bass, piano. I played everything with them.
Damn.
They must have had 200 songs. No, I mean, it was just a jam. We were just drinking and playing, and that was about it.
That was badass.
Those guys knew so many songs, and I was like, this is what bluegrass is? And I was like, well, after that night, I was a fan, a full-on, I'm like, I like bluegrass. I'm sorry. That's it.
Yeah. I love bluegrass. So,
Great.
Is there anywhere that this music is accessible yet, or is this still a work in the making?
Oh, well, with Lauren and I, we've been doing stuff on Bandcamp, and we're gonna put some stuff out maybe with the guys that do the Bridge City Sinners, the Flail records.
Yeah, those guys are getting a lot of attention. It seems like these days.
Yeah, so we're gonna try. We were just on tour with that bunch,
right? And
they gave us a little bit of love, and they were like, "Hey, we'd love to put out a record of yours," and I'm like, "Yeah, that would be wonderful."
Cool.
So, it's funny, and I've been getting a little busy since the lockdown happened. I got to put my head into some things that I had let just kind of sit on the back burner. And so, I got a solo record coming out on Org Music. Org is, they do a lot of reissues, and they do a lot of rootsy, bluesy stuff.
Cool. And so was that song that we just heard, is that going to be on this upcoming album?
That's on the Org release. Yeah, it's called Stuff in My Pockets.
Cool. And, very that last song was previously unreleased.
Yeah, I think it only popped up here and there. It's very, very, very unreleased, very bootleggy at this.
So we are even more privileged not only to have this guy here, but he's sharing some stuff with us that almost nobody's heard yet, guys. So
yeah.
Everyone give yourself a nice warm hug right now. Doesn't it feel good? Yeah, it feels good. So let's have another song. We have a couple of them that you sent.
Yeah, I sent you one that Lauren and I do together. It's actually a reggae cover.
Oh, cool.
It's probably a good
since we're talking about them now.
Yeah.
Which one is that?
That's the Right Track. It's if you want to be on the right track. It's a Phyllis Dillon song, and I can't remember who she sings with, but somebody reminded me the other night, and I've already forgotten. It's like it's not Derek Morgan or something, but it's like a really nice. It's a nice duet, and a good buddy of mine told me, "Hey, you guys would sound great singing this," and I was like, "Hey."
So does this still get put out under your name, or what name does this song officially get released under?
I think now we call our project The Witch and the Burro.
The Witch and the Burro. I love it. All right. This is The Witch and the Burro. Right track on KWJUDAS. Free Radio. Provo. 1, 2, 3.
On the right track, you gotta move along with me. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. And it's a lonesome track, and it's a winding track. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. Yes, the road is winding, darling. Yes, the road is winding rough. Yes, the road is lonesome, darling. You can't leave me there. But if you wanna be on the right track, you gotta move along with me. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. And it's a lonesome track, and it's a winding track. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. never be on the right track until you move along with me. But it's a lonesome track, and it's a winding track. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. Yes, the road is winding, darling. Yes, the road is winding rough. Yes, the road is lonesome, darling. You can't leave me there. But if you wanna be on the right track, you gotta move along with me. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. And it's a lonesome track, it's a winding track. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. Winding, darling. Yes, the road is winding rough. Yes, the road is lonesome, baby, but you can't leave me there. If you wanna be on the right track, you gotta move along with me. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. But it's a lonesome track, it's a winding track. You'll never be on the right track until you move along with me. No, you'll never be on the right track till you move along with me. You'll never be on the right track till you move along with me. Never be on the right track till you move along with me.
Well, all right. That was Right Track here on KWJUDAS, and we have the utmost privilege of having Vic Ruggiero here on KWJUDAS. Thank you all for joining us. I don't know why, but we were just talking about the new Beavis and Butthead movie.
Yeah.
While
I
we
can't
were
remember what it was, but you were talking about doing an insert somewhere. In the You're like, well, I'll just insert that. And you're like, oh insert.
God damn it. I'm sorry I couldn't help myself. But then it turns out that you actually got to be part of the soundtrack for the first movie, correct?
Yeah, I was playing with Rancid back in the day when the first movie came out, and they were asking people to do the soundtrack. And actually, me and Dave Hilliard from the Slackers, we were both on tour with Rancid at that time. And they even threw us a bone and asked us if we came up with anything, they would be willing to take a listen and give us writing credit. They were like, hey, if you guys can come up with a good tune that's like suits Beavis and Butthead, I mean, like, you know. So Dave and I are over there like, oh man, we could get our tune in a movie, man. Wow, you know, and like,
oh yeah.
But no, it worked out really cool. We threw some ideas around. We actually recorded the track in Jimi Hendrix's New York studio, what's it called? Electric Ladyland.
Oh, no shit. Wow.
So, I mean, there was just levels of coolness that happened at that moment that I was like, you know.
That is so awesome. Those guys are like the gods of punk rock. Yeah, they rule.
It was a lucky time in my life. I had moments, you know. Actually, Jimi Hendrix's dad walked in that day to check out the studio. He had never been there, and we just happened to be there.
You got to meet him.
We were the guys that met Al. I think his name is Al Jackson.
Huh.
Yeah.
So many levels of coolness.
So many levels. Dave was cool enough to know that he played the saxophone. He was like, "Hey, man, didn't I remember you being a saxophone player?"
Right.
And he's like, "Yeah, man. How'd you know that?" Like, yeah, I know. I saw it in a documentary somewhere. Anyway, so ridiculous.
I think that we should probably play that song next.
That's a good idea, man. It's called "I Wanna Riot," and you can hear my adept organ playing in the song. It's very exciting.
So, did this make it onto any other albums or just to the soundtrack?
I think it's exclusive for the soundtrack. I think it's just on that. You know, I played it with them live a few times because it's a cool song, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and
guys, it's ska. It's ska, which is also funny.
You guys, you're pretty good friends with Rancid, aren't you? I mean, you guys have done a couple of collaborations that I've heard.
Yeah, over the years, I mean, they were definitely friends to the Slackers, and they did a lot for us back in the early days. You know, they put us in the spotlight when we had no spotlight. They did great things for us. Hellcat Records was because of them. It was Tim's label.
Right.
Yeah, it really did good for us. And, you know, it's funny. I still see kids show up with Rancid shirts at the show.
That makes sense.
At the Slacker shows and my shows, yeah.
I think that as much as you guys sounds aren't terribly alike, they definitely go together really well, I think.
Yeah, they're very simpatico. Very, very.
Right. So this is I Wanna Riot? Yes?
I Wanna Riot. It's like, oi, I Wanna Riot.
Riot on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo. Thank you all so much for listening. From the Beavis and Butthead soundtrack, straight up, I Wanna Riot, KWJUDAS, we are back in action. Sorry if things sound weird. You know, technical stuff happens when you're doing technical things.
Of course. I know nothing of these technical things.
Me neither. I just pretend like I do. And this guy's all sitting here telling me I'm professional. I'm like, wow, really? You don't know me very well. Well, I mean, we briefly met last night, but...
Yeah. I met you before, I remember, once or twice, but we've never really made a proper acquaintance.
The first time we met, I don't think you'd remember. It was years ago at, I think it was Club Sound, where Folk Hogan was opening, and a friend of mine, her name's Karen, she and I actually got stopped by you guys on the way out after the show asking for a good place to get some Mexican food late at night. And we were just like, man, we got to go meet our friends, but... yeah, there's like a Beto's just right down the street. And you guys are like, hey, do you want to come along? And we're just like, oh, no, friends. And we've been kicking ourselves in the ass ever since. Because we thought maybe we could have, well, gone and eaten tacos with the slackers instead of our lame-ass friends. Oh, well. But I believe I first hit you up when I recorded that video of that older guy who joined y'all with a harmonica at the Slackers show a couple months ago. That was a once-in-a-lifetime moment. Well, maybe it wasn't. Do you get that all the time? Because I've never seen that sort of thing happen.
Oh, what do you mean? With the guy with the what? The harmonica?
Yeah. The last Slackers show, I just happened to be standing right there.
Magic moment.
It was a magic moment.
No, that was particularly magical. That wasn't typical. When all of a sudden everything got quiet and there was like there's a harmonica playing in the audience. That was unique. Right.
And I like the fact that some musicians might have actually gotten a little bent, you know, and you just started trying to play along with him, even though harmonica's got to be in the right key, and his wasn't quite. I remember you actually tried to match what key he was in, you know?
I know. I couldn't hear him well enough to tell what key he was in. But I was like, wait a second. Is that it? Is that it? And then I didn't want to kill the moment by being like, what key you're in?
But still pulled it off great, though, I think.
Yeah, whatever happened, I think it was magic.
Total magic. And, you know, you just like, I don't like to be the guy who pulls his phone out during a show, but sometimes you just get that feeling, and it happened at the right time.
I appreciate that, because that's also the kind of thing where I'm like, oh, man, I hope somebody's filming this, and I hope they're cool enough to post it, because there'll be things that happen that are so cool.
So maybe we should go into that song next, and then we're going to come back and do a couple more. KWJUDAS, Free Radio Provo. Thank you all for listening.
I was sitting in the basement playing piano, and I was listening to this other tune that said something about I sit myself down Tuesday and wrote myself a song.
Yeah?
You know that one.
Yeah, what else? Woo!
But luckily, because I'm a musician that not that many people take note of.
Okay.
I can quote people's lines, and for the most part, they don't ever notice.
I don't believe it.
That's fine with me, you know. I mean, I suppose I can use the publicity, but whatever. But I was listening to this record by a band, the band called The Band.
Yeah.
You know the band?
Maybe.
And in one of their songs, Levon Helm he says, I'd rather die happy than not at all.
That's right.
And I thought, damn, that really says a lot about what I'm feeling these days. Set myself down Tuesday, wrote myself a song, just things I want to say about what is wrong. But all of my complaining comes to no avail. The things I really need to say, I've yet to learn myself. myself, but I won't cry, no. I won't wail, no. Tell myself that you never fail until it's over. And when it's over, it's over. Wrote myself a letter, sent it off to you to make myself feel better. I tried to tell the truth, I tried. I sent one to Jesus Christ. You know, I sent one to Noah's Ark. I sang a song for the morning light, and I'm still sad in the dark. But I won't cry, no. I won't wail, no. Tell myself that you never fail until it's over. But when it's over, it's over. Now, what do I do with that disco Dave here? Just kind of, it's like, there's just so much space. And I forgot my harmonica rack, so let me see. And you got a harmonica too. Somebody else playing harmonica?
Get up there! Yeah! Get on up, man! Get it! You got us! Yeah! Stage! This is my baby!
Different key, I tried to find it, but hey, give it up for the man on the harmonica. My God, you guys are the best, you know. Slackers fans are really the best. I don't see anybody act like you guys. Well, I accept I can't do nothing at all. See myself a big long road, build myself a wall. You know, you remember that? Dig myself a tunnel, so I'll get on under. You could always get under one. Join the rest of the human race, just dance wide and wonder. But I won't cry, no. I won't wail, no. Tell myself that you never fail until it's over. And when it's over, it's over. Said when it's over, Lord, it's over. Said when it's over, it's over. Happy birthday, Kathy. Thank you, Mr. Harmonica. That was cool, man.
That was I'd Rather Die Happy here on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo, a very rare live exclusive performance in the middle of the Slacker show we had in Salt Lake City just
That's right.
about a month or two ago. So have you been on tour ever since then?
I've been on tour ever since. I mean, my God, it never ends with me.
That's kind of what it seems like.
Yeah.
You just pretty much live on the road?
I live on the road, yeah. I make, between the Slackers and Lauren and my solo stuff and different projects. I mean, I pick up stuff when I'm already too busy to do the stuff that I have on my schedule. I got problems, you know.
Hey, it keeps you busy though, you know. You never run out of things to do.
It does. Well, you know, the thing is, so okay, for example, I got a Chris Murray thing coming up. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you're familiar with Chris Murray, but
I've heard the name.
Yeah, he's a cool like reggae and ska guy from. He's originally from Toronto, but he lives in Southern California for the past like 20 years.
Okay.
And he basically, him and me got kind of like commissioned to do a covers album. For this guy who's like this guy's basically like the 1950s A&R guy, who's like, babe, I got a great idea for you. I got these songs. I think you're gonna sound great singing them. You know. Right. And I was like, yeah, cool. I was like, I dig your idea. I like it. He's like, he's got personal investment in the tunes. He likes, he's like, I got a story I want to tell. He's a writer. He does all this stuff. So I ended up making these recordings, and me and Chris Murray did it in L.A. And man, some of them are really coming out good. And we decided, hey, let's go on tour. You know, let's do it. So we're going to go out and play some of these songs around. And yeah, like for example, that's how that happens. You know, like I needed another tour to do, you know. But the fact of the matter is, I guess I'd rather be out playing than doing something else, you know.
Well, you know, you got to put food on the table somehow now, don't you?
Well, they feed you at the gigs. You know, I didn't get the dinner that they offered me last night at the show. I don't know what was the matter with me.
Bastards.
Maybe I have to stop back today and say, hey, I was eyeing that corned beef.
I was promised a damn steak and a salad, and I'm back, bitch. Speaking of being back, you are doing another set tonight at a house show?
Yeah, it's a house gig, yeah.
So how'd that all get lined up?
Yeah, well, you know, it's really strange. The way that I was on tour with Lauren.
Right.
And Lauren had to run back because she had a family emergency. She had stuff she had to attend to. And basically, I was like, okay, I could continue along the tour. And I have no problem going out and making sure that the gigs get played and we don't cancel out on the shows we had booked.
Right.
But at a certain point, we had a break in there, and I was like, you know, what if I just make a turn in the tour and go to Colorado and then go to Salt Lake, and it'll make the drive easier for me. And on top of it, I can go places where I know people, and I have, you know, and I'd love to stop in and play. And so that's exactly what I did. I started making phone calls and texting people. And really, this only happened in the past 2 days.
Right.
You know, 2-3 days. I was texting, hey, anybody have an idea? Because I didn't even know which direction I was heading in. Yeah.
So this kind of determined what direction you were going then.
Mm-hmm. It was. I was sitting at a gig in Omaha that I had stayed on an extra day to play a party in Omaha at a bar. I just lucked out with that.
Right.
And I looked at Omaha and I was like, hey, look, Colorado's right there. I was like, hey, look, Salt Lake City's right there. Oh, hey, this is like, you know, I got a tour. Hey, this is great. And
there you go.
Thanks to you guys here in Salt Lake City, you guys came through with a house show and a last-minute bar slot that I did last night. So, I mean, I got to give you guys props, man. Like, Salt Lake City came through for me, man.
Yeah, for being last minute, I mean, there was a decent chunk of people. And anytime that I know about somebody who I know my friends are going to want to know, I'll get bitched at if I don't tell certain people about certain shows.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
I know.
So I even did my part to at least try and tell people, hey, any fan of the Slackers, this is happening right now.
Thank you for that, because I get really mad at my friends that'll tell me, oh yeah, I just went to go see, King Kong and Barbecue or something like that. And I'm like, what do you mean they played and you didn't tell me?
I just figured you would have already known.
Oh,
How come you weren't there? 'Cause you didn't tell me.
That's right. Or they'll be like, oh, did you see Ken Booth was playing last night? I'm like, no, you got to remind me I'm going to Ken Booth. Come on,
Yeah.
whatever.
It goes both ways,
Yeah.
So I get pissed when my friends don't tell me about certain things, just assuming that I'm already going to know about it. It's like, okay, basically, if I didn't hit you up about it, then hit me up about it. you know?
No, there's a guy out west, is Boss Harmony, and they do the Dub Club and Punky Reggae Party and all this thing. And they'll have these great shows. They had one where it was the Agrolites backing up Prince Buster.
Word.
Prince Buster, who never came to New York to play pretty much ever. With a backing band like the Agrolites. Now, this is a decade ago, easily. And I was like, you guys, I'm like, you have to tell me. I would get on a plane and come to that gig. Like, are you crazy? I'll be there. I'll fly from Canada if I need to,
Yeah. Well, like I said, hopefully I'm going to have more friends there tonight than tomorrow.
All right.
Because we've at least had a little more time to talk about it and get the word out. And that is kind of the cool thing about the fact that you had 2 shows here, is last night obviously was extremely spur of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyone who's like, oh man, you should have told me sooner. I was like, I didn't know sooner, but there's another one tomorrow night.
Yeah. No, this should be cool.
And I think they're not doing a cover charge, but they are doing donations. Is that kind of how they're doing it?
Yeah. And for last minute stuff, I try to be cool. I don't want to be even it depends on the kind of show. I'm definitely of that New Orleans the New Orleans thing where once the people are in the door, if you impress them enough and you make enough love, they give back. And New Orleans really taught me a lot about that. They open the doors. If they charge you, they maybe charge you $3. And you come in and then they pass the hat and you see something, you go, oh my God, I couldn't have paid $100 in New York and seen this. So then throwing a 20 in the hat doesn't make you feel, you even then you feel guilty,
Yeah, that's kind of what they did at the last show, and it seemed like there was a lot of 20s in there for a last night gig. Man, it was pretty good. I'm very appreciative.
For
a Wednesday.
It was a great Wednesday, and that bar is fantastic. Aces High. Wow.
Oh yeah, got
what a
Aces
spot.
High. So hell yeah to Aces High.
Yeah.
Let's get to another song, shall we? Maybe do a couple songs in a row.
Yeah, sure. I was just talking about all these different projects. So
right.
I mentioned New Orleans. So New Orleans is my friend Matty Ruthless. We did a nice duet years ago on a song about the swamp. So, there's that.
Henderson Swamp.
Henderson Swamp. That's a Slackers song, but it's one of my stylings of it,
Right.
We talked about the project with Chris Murray, and on that same project that I sent you the Ventilator Blues. That's a cover song. That's a Rolling Stones cover.
Ventilator Blues. This is a Rolling Stones cover.
Yeah, it's one of those that I didn't know very well, but it's quite a tune.
Oh yeah. Well, all right. We got the Ventilator Blues on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo. Thank you all for listening.
When your spine is cracking and your hands they shake, lungs is bursting like they gonna break. Your woman's cursing, you can hear her scream. Sounds like murder in the first degree. Ain't nobody gonna slow you down. Everybody just stepping the accelerator. No matter who you are, well, everybody's gonna need a ventilator.
When you're trapped and circled, there's no second chance. Your code of living's just your gun in hand. Can't be beat by beat, can't be told by words. All this cheating, no, we ain't never gonna learn. But everybody's just walking around, trying to get the best of their creator. But no matter who you are, well, everybody might need a ventilator. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Everybody gonna need a ventilator. Don't fight it. Go come and get it. Come and get it now. Come and get it now. No matter who you are, you're gonna have to think about it sooner or later. No matter who you are, everybody gonna need a ventilator. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. Get it sooner or later. Don't fight it. When you're gonna get it. Don't fight it. Don't fight it. No, no, no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, no,
If I could just keep my head up, like the trees down on Henderson Swamp, make another day, that'll be okay, and I won't just die another chump.
My head's wet with envy.
My feet's been tied with sin. Sweet smell of death is upon my breath. For every stroke I swim, my history forgets me. Notify my next of kin. 'Cause I fear it's true that you're headed hang to if you knew all the trouble I was in. If I could just keep my head up, like the trees down on Henderson Swamp, make another day, that'll be okay. I won't just die another chump. The pennies have all left my pockets. Guitar gently weeps, along with the ladies that I left behind down on the old back streets. Well, the captain caused confusion, and the water come rushing on in. I looked to heaven and asked him fear. I said, please don't tell me how did I get here. He said, young man, you had to be angry. He said, Maddie, you had to be free. Ruthless, baby.
Yes, sounds correct, and I hope that he's happy. I'm sinking on deep into the sea. If I can just keep my head up, if I can just keep my head up, if I could just keep my head up.
fucking going. I'm Vic fucking Ruggiero on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo.
Glare, some dust was rising in the air, just a puff of wind. Well, it's hard to say, like a truck driving out there, far away, like a plume of smoke shimmering in the heat of the day. In the desert heat, the sun is cruel. I think of being home and I think of you out in the burning sand. A little cloud does grow. I wonder who's walked here and who's coming now. But a crowd of dust keeps growing. It's heading right this way. Somebody's coming. I wish it was you. Said we'd be forever, but that wasn't true. Of light out in the dust. It's a reflection from a windshield. It's heading out of nowhere, and I wonder who's coming. And if I should hide, it could be bandits or soldiers or some kind of sign. Well, what if it was you that's coming? Pulling on a comet's tail beneath the desert sun. You know, once you said we'd be forever. I wish that could have been for real. But it seems so long ago before I had to go. And now the cloud of dust keeps growing. It's heading right this way. Somebody's coming. I wish it could be you. They said we'd be forever, but that wasn't true. As it keeps on rumbling by. Just a cloud of dust is all that's left as it keeps on moving and disappears. Heading back to nowhere. Heading back to nowhere. Just a heading on back to nowhere. Beneath the desert sun.
Well, all right, that was Vic Ruggiero on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo. Did you say there was a little bit of a story behind that one?
Well, that's cool. It's a cool record I made a bunch of years ago. And I just, like I said, I was looking through my stuff and I'm like, oh, this is a great tune. I made that record with a guy named Phil Nurgis. And Phil was in Iraq. He was a contractor in Iraq during the war.
Crazy.
And he was over there driving trucks and doing stuff, running pipes and God knows what,
Right.
And he was there and he came back, and that's how I met him, was through his daughter. And she said, yeah, my dad wants to talk to you. Of course I thought I was in trouble or something. I'm like, well, what happened? And he's got all these songs and poems and things. And she said, well, if you want to do something with it, talk to Vic. And so we became friends. We made a record, and combine the record with a bunch of his writing, it all got put under the title "Don't Feed the Cats in Iraq."
That's the name of the album?
Yeah, it's the name of the album, and it's the name of a book that he put out. That's a
Cool.
self-published book, and we put it out together. But it was really cool because basically he would show me his notes, and he'd be like, I think I got a song in this, or I think this poem could work. And I would ask him questions, and I'd say, but what do you mean? There's cats running around and dogs running? And he's like, well, yeah. I mean, it's like, these are places where people live, so they have cats and dogs, right? So,
Right.
but when they run off because there's a war, guess who gets left behind? Or who runs away and they can't find them when they're leaving? And so it was these details, these weird little details, or about how people settle their grudges during a war. Because, well, everybody's shooting each other anyway. I've always wanted to knock off the next door neighbor, so I guess this is the moment.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Damn. It's like that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I was like, whoa. And he was like, yeah. He's like, a lot of things come up that you didn't think about before. And so we wrote this really cool piece together. And even when I brought it to my mastering engineer, he was intrigued. He said, Vic, you bring me a lot of weird stuff. He's like, I think this one might be my favorite. And I was like, wow, hey, that's saying a lot,
Hell yeah.
So that one, the Dust Song is his Phil's words with my, musical interpretation of his words.
Right.
And, a couple of edits and just making it flow. But it was one of those things that I really enjoyed that project. It was something that felt, I always want to feel current, and I always want to feel like I'm sharing something with the music that's different than what the average person would get a hold of. I'm like, well, where is this? Where is there a need?
Yeah.
And I think Phil and I both agreed that there was a need to tell this story, So.
Yeah, that's something different. I like that. Where can we get more of that stuff if anybody wants to go find it online?
Yeah, I would say just, Google "Don't Feed the Cats in Iraq."
Okay.
And, we were pretty bad about promoting it. It exists. But
you're promoting it now.
You know what? I should really I should put it on my Bandcamp, and I should put up, my Bandcamp is The Real Vic Ruggiero, because there used to be a bunch of Bandcamps up that were my name. And I drew attention to that, and then I was just like, hey, if you want the real Vic Ruggiero, you can find it,
All you other Vic Ruggieros are just imitating.
Yeah, man.
So, won't the real Vic Shady please stand up?
Exactly.
Once again, sorry I couldn't help myself. Let's play another song.
It's tough, though, like with Spotify, for example.
Yeah.
Like there's 4 or 5 different people that publish my music on Spotify.
With your permission, or do you not know these people?
No, it's with my permission. They're record companies. There's things that they've done this, they've done that project, they've done this. So my name comes up a lot.
Right.
But I mean, I'd be shocked if I ever get any publishing off that. I mean, somebody's buying a mansion off those tunes on Spotify. Somebody's paying their bills. I ain't.
You don't get any royalties or anything out of that, even though it's your name and your music.
One record company guy, he's not even a record company. He's a independent. He made a little thing live at Ypsilanti. Oh, actually, speaking of, I sent you one of those tracks. Live in Ypsilanti. He published it on Spotify, and he actually every once in a while he shows up to a gig and hands me a few $100.
No shit. Hell
and he's like, "Hey man, the money came through for the thing," and I'm like, "Wow, so you got $300 from Spotify?
How do you do that?"
Nobody else ever paid me, unless the guy's just being sweet. That could be too.
Yeah, he could just be being a nice guy.
I don't know.
I don't know how the hell you collect money from Spotify, and I don't know anybody who does.
I supposedly, now according to the Slackers, yes, there is a payout. There is much, there was a law was passed at some point that the the fraction of a cent that they were giving us was like practically unconstitutional. So like,
Right.
Yes, they made the rates a little better, but I don't know. Honestly, again, we were talking about the people I need to hire. I need somebody to go through
Right.
representing to Spotify. Say, hey,
Mhm.
buddy, Vic needs a little help over here. Send him a few bucks.
And they just run everything for you. Anytime you need something posted, it gets put on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, so you just don't have to do it.
Yeah, because I'm out here driving around the world playing songs for people,
Right.
We were on the break, we were talking about We Are the Union, right?
Yeah.
They, for example, like they're a band that we were on tour with, and they really impressed me.
Yeah.
And they really got their social media on lock. They really got something going. And I got to say, I like them, and
Oh yeah, they put on.
I
a
probably
heck
should
of a
go to
show.
them and say, yeah, great show. They got something to say. The music is cool. I'm not a big modern ska fan, but some element of their music is like, oh, hey, you know what? It's working for me. It doesn't have everything doesn't have to fit into a box. I mean, nothing should.
Yeah. And it's also cool to see a younger crowd, a younger generation, getting back into ska and wanting to play ska music. Just in those 2 days at the Slackers show, randomly these guys came up to me after the show and they just commented on a shirt I was wearing for a band called Holy Locust. They're not a ska band, but they knew them, and they're just like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? We're playing a show at the Ice House. And so I caught them and then 2 other ska bands from here that I've heard of but never been able to catch live. And so, yeah, it was just really cool to see this kind of new generation all together with, like, We Are the Union and Kill Lincoln. And then the next night I went to go see these 2 bands from Utah that I've heard of but never actually been able to see. The Make Ways with the Anchorage. They were opening with another band from out of town, the ones I was telling you about, Space Monkey Mafia, who I met at your show.
Oh, yeah, you were wearing that shirt last night. I asked about it.
They were cool guys. And again, lots of energy, put on a really good show, and it's just cool to see younger people doing ska. I'm just like, what happened to get these younger people into this stuff? I thought this shit was dead.
If I can interject though, really, just as a guy that's been doing it for 30 years and whatever.
Yeah.
The Slack has never benefited from the ska scene as much as we just benefited from people that like to go out to shows.
Right.
There's a lot of arguments within the band that if you wanted to actually make a graph out of it, the years that the ska popularity declined, that's when we got more popular. People got done with that stuff, that it was just a fad.
Yeah.
And we never hung out with those guys.
Well, yeah, you guys always kind of had your own thing.
Yeah, we hung out with rock and roll bands and punk bands and Flogging Mollies and guys like Holy Locust that are like, oddball. You can't put them in a category. Or, or again, a band like We Are the Union that, like, sure, you can say that they're ska, but, but they're punk, but they're like, I don't think I'm not really sure that we could be sitting there talking about the Scatolites with, the nuances of the Scatolites with those guys. But that being said, they do bear a resemblance to, say, Fishbone or something like that. That's and I gotta say that when it comes to ska and reggae, it pops its head up everywhere. You listen to music, pop music from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. I hear it everywhere, and nobody calls it ska. Nobody calls it reggae. Yeah, it's just good, and actually, the less they call it ska and the less they call it reggae, the more popular it gets.
Right. It's not fair.
Yeah.
But if you're using that syncopated rhythm, that is signature brand ska reggae.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. There was a hipster band out of New York. I can't remember her name, but they were like part of that hipster scene, that Brooklyn scene. And they're playing ska, That's all I got to say, man. It's like same thing with that band. What was it? Vampire Weekend. That's it.
Ah, there you go.
I knew it had something to do with the days of the week.
There you
Vampire
go.
Weekend.
Vampire
Weekend. They played reggae. They played ska in some of their stuff. They never said
what?
it. Yeah, I heard it, and I was like, you guys. But because they never said it, nobody ever called them a ska band.
Yeah.
You know, and this other band too, this Brooklyn singer lady, she was playing straight up ska in Rocksteady. Because she never said it, people were like, "Hey, this music is great, so danceable, so catchy." But she never said I'm a reggae singer, because if she did, they would have put her on the reggae channel.
Yeah.
They would have put her, cast her aside, and so it's one of those things.
Pigeonholed.
Yeah, and I tell you, man, I'm not going to deny it. Anybody wants to say, "Do you play the ska?" I say, yes, I play the ska, definitely. But I certainly I don't live in the ska world, in the ska scene, in that way that I care whether it comes and goes. You know, the Slackers are certainly a band that we just like. We want you to show up. We don't want to be your favorite ska band. We just want to be your favorite band. You know?
Yeah, and you guys have a way of twisting a lot of other styles into that ska category, and I think that is also a big reason that you guys have withstood the test of time.
Yeah, and I mean, we could put out a new record recently. I think we probably play more.
That's a good
rootsy
album.
Thanks. Yeah, it's on what Pirates Press, right? Is the new the new album? Don't Let the Sunlight Fool You, and it's probably more rootsy music than we've played in a long time. But I gotta say, you know, people are getting it again. You know, we're not going down the avenues and saying, "Oh yeah, you know, it's got checkerboards all over it or Rasta flags."
You don't want to do that, because then everyone will think it's too ska and they won't want to admit they like it.
Yeah, but I mean, really, it's really just a point of making. You know, just making good music and just saying what you want to say, being a little courageous with what we say. You know, it's like that.
Word. I got to say that second best song gets stuck in my fucking head all the time.
Ah, it's great. Dave Hilliard, man. Dave Hilliard, one of the unsung songwriters of the generation. Come on.
The first time that song, I think the first time I heard it was when you guys played it live, and I was like, where do I know this from? It just has such a sense of familiarity. Yeah. But I was like, no, pretty sure this is an original song.
It's an immediate classic. That's how you know you got a good one. You're like, have I heard this? We go looking for the tune we ripped it off from. And it's like, no, it's not there. This is this. I think we wrote. I think we made this one up ourselves.
You kind of you can't put your finger on it. Has, you know, like I said, a sense of familiarity. But the more you think about it, it's like, no, I can't place it anywhere. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like classic. I don't know. I mean, I like the whole album, but that one, like I said, I get that song stuck in my head all the fucking time. In fact, maybe we should play that one next. I just want to thank you again for joining us, you and the people out there. KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo.
Charms are faded. your 10th man, your backup plan. When you're ready to change it up, you can substitute me in. I will answer all your questions. I can pass this test. I wanna be your second best. I wanna be your second best. I wanna be your second best. I wanna be your second best.
Well, shit dang, Arliss. If you don't mind, I think I might just indulge for a moment and play a couple of my favorite Slackers tunes, just 'cause, well, this here's KWJUDAS, and we plays whatever the hell we want.
They shot down the marchers on a winter's day. They lay face down in the snow as their lives ran away. Now the distance between us grows more every day. Every time I see you, it just makes me want to say, don't you want a man anymore? Don't you need a man anymore? Don't you love your man anymore? And don't you want your man anymore? So the revolution came and it went away. Everyone was saved, my lord, but things pretty much stayed the same. And now the distance between us grows further every day. Every time I see you, it just makes me want to say, don't you want a man anymore? Or don't you need a man anymore? Don't you want this man anymore? Or don't you love this man anymore? Or don't you want your man anymore? Or don't you need your man anymore? Don't you love your man anymore? Only time will tell. Before this all began, there's a lot of things we could have been. In many ways we were just children. And on these nights as we lay slumbering, we should have opened up our hearts, let each other in.
original sin that white life's always creeping in. An international war criminal. Information is minimal, and weapons of destruction, they are gasoline and petroleum. So are you sticking around to see what happens? Are you sticking around to see what happens? International rules of war get spoken when it suits someone to have them broken. It's funny how they'll go on and define terror as killing and exploding things to force your own agenda. But international war criminal situation is pitiful. Weapons of destruction, they are gasoline and petroleum. And are you sticking around to see what happens? Are you sticking around to see what happens? International war criminal. International war criminal situation. Lord, it's beautiful. International war criminal. International war criminal. International war criminal. International war criminal. International war criminal.
That was the Slackers here on KWJUDAS Free Radio Provo. Get ready for something really fucking trippy.
Punch me in my face. That's the way to wake it. It's all over the place, but it's okay, I can take it. It's really no surprise that you're a sight for sore eyes, black and blue inside, and also on the outside. Things I can't forget are the things you don't remember. The things you can't forget are the things I don't remember. Oh man, everyone's sniffing off. What's inside your hands? No, I've never seen them. Truth far as it stands lies somewhere between them, and the things I can't forget are the things I don't remember. The things you won't forget are things I can't remember.
And rather than play the entire album, the question front to back, well, here it is, folks. The classic.
She says
right, that's Vic Ruggiero here on KWJUDAS, and as much as it pains me to say, it is coming time to say goodbye and bid you
it's
farewell.
coming to an end, huh?
Yes. Parting is such sweet sorrow.
Indeed. Well,
thanks
for you really made a nice thread between the many corners of my life. You know, I have a lot of things I do, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate that you were down to share all this with us. Some of it not even being previously released, and a lot of it being stuff that I didn't know existed. So now I've got all sorts of stuff to go and look up, as do all of our listeners out there. Right, folks? Yeah. I'm going to edit in a bunch of people cheering. Right there. Yeah, I can do that now. So we're going to have a word from our sponsor and go into our last song. But before we do that, remind us, where is the best place to find your music if people are interested in what they've just heard?
Oh, well, for me, I mean, you know, the independent Vic you can find at the real Vic Ruggiero at Bandcamp. You go on Bandcamp and look up the real Vic Ruggiero. And if you just type my name in, you'll see it pop up too.
And that's going to have all your projects.
Yeah, that has a little bit of everything. The Slackers, of course, have their own world. And if you just look up the Slackers are represented in all forms of social media. You know, I make posts on Instagram. I have a Facebook that's just my name, Vic Ruggiero. If you look up The Witch in the Burro, that's that has a Facebook, I think, and an Instagram.
Yeah, I really want to check more of that stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on, you know, and I try to keep my stuff out there. I have a vicruggiero.com that goes somewhere these days. I can't remember exactly where, but if you type that in, you can find my life. Maybe I'm answering my own questions about how scattered I am. You know, like, where's the easiest place to find me? Well, I don't know. Maybe in a bar playing in your neighborhood, down the block.
Yeah, come to the show tonight, 1452.
I think it's just somebody's house, or I don't know. They do shows out of there. I don't know. I asked him if it was all right that I made it public, and he was like, "Yeah, it's okay." So, all right.
So this last song you said was a bit theatrical, was it not?
Yeah, this one is the I see it as the first song of a musical about the apocalypse.
Awesome.
Bouncing along on my bicycle through the Bronx during the lockdown, and I was there was something going through my head, and I just saw this kind of creepy glow in the distance, and I just thought, what if when I stopped at the bodega, what if Liza Minnelli suddenly opened the door? I was like, what song would we sing together? And that's basically what happened. Luckily, I have Lauren Napier on my team, and she was like, "Oh yeah," she's like, "I'm there all the way."
I'm sorry, I just got quite the visual from that one. You caught me off guard there. Liza Minnelli just bursts out the fucking coffee shop.
Yes,
now you got to make a video of this shit.
That's where it's going. That's where it's going. So that's a bit of the surreal, and hopefully there's more of that to come. So.
Oh hell yeah! I can't wait. This is Right and or Wrong on KWJUDAS, and once again, thank you so much for being here and doing it with us, taking time out of your busy rock star schedule and all.
Hey, hanging in there, doing what I can do,
Hell yeah! Thank you all for joining us. KWJUDAS, Free Radio Provo.
Take the fries, not the shake.
I take the earth, but not the quake.
Oh, go to hell,
well, for heaven's sake, something's going on down. I take the high, but not the road.
I'll take the axe, not the splode.
Guess what? You should've known. Something's going on down.
Won't do the dog, I do the cat.
Maybe not this, I'll take that.
I can't be the judge, I'll be the clown.
Don't you know something's going on down? Can't have the thorn, not the rose.
Sunday best without the clothes.
Goodness.
Oh, goodness knows something's going on down. I take a buzz without the bees.
Take the scratch, not the flea.
Can I have a hug without the squeeze?
But don't forget your thank yous, please.
Live in a land above the roof.
I understand you got the proof.
Well, if you want the honest truth, something's going on down.
Dinosaur says, hello, friend.
It's nice to see you're here again.
Am I correct to comprehend?
Something's going on down. I got the time, not the clock.
You got a tick, not the talk.
Maybe I oughta just take a walk somewhere around the town.
'Cause
something's going
something's going on
down. Something's going on down. Abracadabra.
You coming round?
I wish you would.
The old one too.
Oh, I'd say what for? Something's going on down.
Hey kid, tired of being trapped like a peed-on chipmunk in all of these boring old rectangular parking lots? Well, no, sir. I don't drive. Well, get with it, soldier, with today's future parking lot innovation. Well, Derpinsley guy, what is that? Innovating parking lots for today's future. You're not making any sense, Derpinsley guy. Nonsense. Why, if sense was for the making, I'd have made plenty of it by now. Oh, why don't you ever suggest anything useful like self-sucking pacifiers or pre-soiled undergarments? Why, I already have. In fact, you're wearing them right now. I am? Oh, no! Those undergarments weren't pre-soiled. What a soiled little trooper. Brought to you by Derpinsley. And remember, if it doesn't say Derpin, it's not Derpinsley. We'd like to thank you all for joining us on yet another exciting and exclusive episode of KWJUDAS on Free Radio Provo. We now return you to our regular Free Radio programming.